The top talents in the comic book business are here to tell everything they know.
All right, well, here we go, you guys. This is a very interesting situation. Sometimes, news happens, and we hit it the right way. And Dennis, why don't you tell a little story and introduce our next guest?
Okay, I'll try to make it quick. So, as you know, when this thing hit, everybody starts blowing up everybody's phones, and Jesse and we all went in different directions. We're like, how can we get more information about this? We're digging we're doing our Google searches and blah blah blah. And like I said, I went right into their social medias, and I said, you miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take. So I messaged their Facebook. I said, hey, this is our show. I'm interested in having you guys come on. Send somebody over here to talk to us and tell us what your plans are. And like I said, later the day, I was like, you know what? You miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take. I said, I'm going to call these guys and just see. It's after 5. I'm just going to, shoot and worry about it later. And like I said, I was so impressed with their damn voicemail system. And I'm just like, damn, this is already 10x Diamond's voicemail system. So I navigated, and I remembered one of the names from the press release, and I typed it in the 3 digits, and sure enough, his voicemail came up. I said, I'll leave him a voicemail. 30 minutes later, I'm sitting there with my son, and I get the phone call, and I said, hey, we'd love to have you come on. I don't know if you guys are ready. I don't know if you guys have, like protocols. And he's like, no, let me check. I think I come on tonight. I was like, let's do it. And meanwhile, Bryan's blowing up my phone trying to get me to talk about something else. And I'm like sending it to voicemail. And he's like, just call me later. And let's introduce Bruce Ogilvie from Alliance Entertainment.
Bruce, thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Excellent.
Wow, that's your warehouse?
Yeah, well, I'm not physically at that, but that's a picture of our warehouse. Those are a bunch of CDs behind me. That picture was taken up on the 3rd floor of our, well, actually the 4th floor of our mezzanine that we have there, looking down on the 3rd floor of the mezzanine we have.
Wow.
It's amazing. When we first saw your guys' webpage and we saw the warehouses and everything working, we saw your workforce and everything. It was just like, oh, that warm feeling. Okay, we got something interesting working here. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you feel today, Bruce? I mean, this is pretty big deal.
Well, it is a big deal. It's definitely reading social media and reading all the news reports today. And, I watched you guys last week. You piqued my interest, who the bidders might be. So let's see what these guys have to say. So right. I listened to you for 3 hours there and learned a lot that I didn't know about the business, which I greatly appreciated there.
Bruce, can you tell us about Alliance Entertainment and how Alliance Entertainment was grown and the history of the company?
Sure. So me personally, I started selling music at the swap meets in 1978. And I was buying from a distributor, and I got the bright idea that I should become a distributor so I can, do a better job than the current distributor I was buying from. So I convinced all the record companies back in 1980, and I started a company called Abbey Road Distributors, and then grew that to about $94 million in revenue. And when I was in college, as I attempted to go to college, I did learn how to program. And so the one thing I did in my operation in the 80s is I bought a computer system that somebody else had for a music distributor that went out of business. And then I just learned the source code and looked at the source code and made changes. And then I wrote a warehouse, the order picking system there. I had AR inventory and GL, but I didn't have order entry and way to pick orders faster and more efficient. So I've always been kind of a gearhead in that area there, and I was mainly motivated like anybody when you own your own business. What can I do to make my business more efficient, and how do I lower costs? And, how could we become more profitable? Because with profits, you grow. We don't want to own a business that's an expensive hobby. We want to own a business that makes money, we can grow, we can expand there. So word got around within the industry that there was this young guy in California that had a system for the one-stops. And back in those days, there was probably about 30 different one-stops, distributors who just distributed music. So I ended up computerizing about seven different companies like what we did in California. Certainly learned a lot about these companies and how they all operate and how they grow and operate, which made me better and smarter, understanding the business better and understanding distribution there. So then I sold my company in 1994, worked for the people that bought me out for a year, soon remembered all the reasons why, I'd forgotten why I started my home business. Got involved with left them, got involved with a couple startups. They're still in business today. But it was a great time in my life because I kind of went on a sabbatical. I had a covenant not to compete. And, I got involved with all kinds of volunteer work. And I was a soccer dad, coach, referee, did the ASO website, Nation Chief, Indian Guides, all that stuff. But around 2001, I decided I need to get back. My covenant not run. And so I joined my partner today, Jeff Walker. And he's 10 years younger than me. He graduated from UCI. I lived in California, Southern California at the time there. And they wanted to open up a record store. So they came knocking on our door in 1991. That's how I met them. And then in 2001, when I was looking to get back in the action, I reconnected with them there and joined them. And they went from being a retailer and they became a one-stop, a distributor. And of course, they went through the whole explosive growth of CDs, which got started in the 80s. And their first store was called CD Listening Bar, which was basically a record store that had a bartender. And you go in there and we had CD players. And this is before we had listening stations. And when we had, and their vision was that you could listen to it before you buy it. And I thought that was pretty clever on their part at the time there, knowing where the industry was and retailers I'd seen. So, we helped them out. We helped them expand and get involved with the record companies and find a way to grow bigger and become very smart. So in 2001, when I was looking for where I wanted to go, I joined them. And they were doing, like I said, about $18 million a year in revenue. And then, the industry was changing, distributors come and go. So we kind of took advantage of the retailers that went out of business and grew the business. And Jeff and I were able to grow it all the way up to 2020 to about 1.4 billion in revenue, but that was through like a dozen acquisitions.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Just taking companies that want people who wanted to sell or diversify. We always had a belief that we started out in music and we could see the whole handwriting on the wall with Napster, where it was going, where the industry was going. And we said, we got to diversify because we're going to lose sales over time there. And so we really leaned in heavy in the movie. We actually went into imports. We bought two import companies, one in 2003, one in 2007. Imports was people always had a higher perceived value of imports, that it was a better value. The Japanese version was better than the American version.
Yep.
The UK version. You go over to Japan, they think the American version is better. But we had a great selection of imports there. And then in 2010, we bought a company that was very big in movie studios with the movie companies. That got us really heavy in the video movies. Then we made the jump into video games. That was 2018. We bought a distributor. The reason we buy these companies, it's very hard to get open as a distributor. You can't call up the door and say, if I try to call Bandai up and they say, we would be a card distributor for you, they laugh at us.
Yeah.
But it's a whole lot easier when you buy the company and the relationships that are already in place. And as long as you can keep things going and make sure if you're financially responsible and strong, they'll stay with you and they'll want to do business with you. So that's kind of the story to our success there.
Right.
Okay, I have one. My first question is really stupid, but you were in California in the 70s and you had a record store. How important and accurate is Record City, the movie? Do you remember that Ed Begley Jr. record store?
Oh, I sort of remember that. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, man, I watch that probably twice a year. It's so insane, but it's a snapshot of that 70s California record culture that kind of grew Tower Records and all of that.
Well, you always had your very strong independent music stores in the 70s and 80s. At Aaron's Record, they were the leader in LA there. Penny Lane, a lot of great strong independent record stores that we've dealt with over the years. But the marketplace was dominated by chains.
Yeah.
Plus, you had Warehouse, you had Sam Goody, you had Tower, and Tower was the gold standard as far as selection.
Yeah.
And we like to think of ourselves today that our customer is the customer that goes into Tower Records.
Yeah.
And everybody who likes streaming, they went into Music Plus or Warehouse and got this couple of hits. And there. So,
Suncoast Movies.
Sure.
Yes. Suncoast, yeah. Yeah.
So I have my first question might be a little bit more technical than Dennis's. From 1978 to 2025, based on what you talked about, technology has really helped you out. How do you manage that as fast as technology comes in, and how does that relate to your business?
Are you talking about, the introduction of the compact disc and now streaming?
I'm talking about your business as far as how you do your warehousing.
Oh,
you keep your computers up to date, your clientele.
Yeah, in the old days, when a record store would sell something, they'd write it down on a piece of paper, and then every time they made a sale, they just write the next thing they sold, and they have a paper with this all this scribble, not a scribble, but they have cap 111163. That's Pink Dark Side of the Moon. They would write it all down, and then before we had quip machines, they'd have to call it in to somebody over on the phone. That person would listen to them, and they would transfer it on the same sheet there. But they would as they called it in, they would write it on the paper by the different labels that there was. So you had A&M, you had EMI, you had Chrysalis, Electro Asylum, Geffen. And so they would read you the number, and then you, as a person that was taking the order over the phone, you would make sure you put it on the right label. So when you dropped that order to the warehouse, the guy'd have to walk around the warehouse and find that and pick it, and then pick the order there. But you had to know how to price it, you had to know how to package, ship it, and all that there. The guys that did the billing were the smartest guys, because they could look at a record, they knew what the price code meant. They knew what price code. They had to get a label out there. Is that an 898 or 798 or 598? Or that's a WIA 5, and that costs more than the Sony 598. So they did that. So as far as how to make us more efficient was, you can now, as people they could call in their order, and as they read it, you just type it into the computer. And I had all the function keys on the keyboard there, and F1, F2, F3. I think F1 was A&M, F2 was Arista, and maybe CBS was F3. I'm just going by memory from many, many years ago. And that would save the person from typing in the abbreviation. And all I have to do is put 11163 and then F4 for capital, and boom, it's in there, and it would just bring it up. And then it was just a matter, okay, do you want an 8-track or you want a cassette? Because that's all we're pushing in those days there. 2 columns. When the CD came along, that became, we put a CD in front of the abbreviation is the way we put it in our system there. We handle it there.
Well, and those numbers are really important because, I think I told you in our phone call that I just opened up I had been hoarding vinyl for 20 some years. And then I opened up my first store over vintage vinyl 2 years ago. And all of those little numbers that I never paid attention to the whole time that I was loving vinyl, and those all mean something. And I was just like,
number, yeah. Old timers know what they mean.
Yeah, but it blew me away that those numbers were all on every album I ever had, and they actually meant something.
Yeah.
Because that's how the studio got paid, was seeing those numbers.
Yeah, but before there was barcodes, there was no barcodes on the product.
Yeah.
So all you had was the label, and then you had the selection number on the spine. And then when the CD came along, like Dark Side of the Moon was 11163, and Capitol makes a CD. Let's call that now 46001. Great.
I love that you have this detailed memory about this. This is
Bruce,
Bruce, sorry, go ahead.
Did the there was this big thing that happened at some point where vinyl became super collectible, Was that one of the things that made you look to the collectibles market? Like, what was the thing that made you, as a music distribution and an old record store, or, record store company, a record store owner, kind of pivot to the collectibles market? Because that's where we
Well, it's not downloadable.
There you go. There you go. Boom. Yeah.
You can't stream it. It's physical media. And the other thing is that we always wanted to draft off of somebody else's money. So when you have a record label and you have a new movie, you have a new video game, they're going to spend a ton of money on advertising. So maybe we can't make any money selling that new release, but we can sell all the associated collectibles items to it. It creates a bundle, but they're just drafting, going along for the ride, because that's what people are into.
Yeah,
it's free promotion there. So that's the trick. Is new releases are great. It gets people in the store.
And I'm not trying to, beat the dead horse. That's what I was begging Diamond to do. I'm like, how is it that 20 million people are watching The Walking Dead and the source material is only selling 200,000? And it's because they were happy selling the 200,000 to the 1,200 retailers, and that was it.
Yeah. What could they have done better? Dennis, I'm not sure what they should have done better.
I don't know what they could have, but I just don't see them. I didn't see them trying beyond selling the product to the retailer and putting, hey, go to Comic Shop Locator on The Talking Dead. There was something else that we could have done.
In the old days, they used to be a lot of co-op and tag stores.
Yeah, they ended a lot of that.
Not so much of that money anymore goes on.
Yeah.
That I've seen.
So
go ahead, Jesse.
So I'll go. So let's get up to date. So when did you say, hey, we got this company in Baltimore that is going up for auction? It's in bankruptcy. That kind of sounds like something our company would want to be part of. What was that process?
Well, we've had for 20 years, all we've done acquisitions. That's how we got to where we were at. We kind of slowed down in 2020. That was our last big acquisition we did. That was Kokum, and not because anything was bad about Kokum. Kokum was a great acquisition, a great company, a lot of great people. But we got this bright idea that how can we grow faster? What can we do? So we were getting approached by a lot of companies that wanted to merge with the SPAC. And so we decided to go down that path. In 22, I think is when we started that process there, in late 21. And so that distracted us quite a bit from acquiring any other company or doing anything. And going public is a big challenge and responsibility. It's not easy. It takes a lot of resources. It's very expensive to do. I can't say it was good or bad yet. The jury's still out on it, but I think we had a 5-year vision that if it took us 20 years to get to 1.4 billion at our peak, as a public company, could we do it in 5? And so I count this as year 1 of that 5-year plan.
Oh, wow, great.
Okay. And so last year we were spending most of the year looking for opportunities and things. We have lots of conversations going on with other companies. And then I was at an investor conference, and I was talking to somebody from the industry. I don't want to tell you their name, because, but they tipped me off that I knew of Diamond, but I didn't know much about Diamond. Now people who work for me know all about Diamond, but I didn't know much about it. And so I heard that they were possibly going to bankruptcy. They weren't in bankruptcy, but possibly going in. And then I heard that Raymond James is running the process. Raymond James didn't reach out to us. We had to kind of, muscle our way in to get invited to get at the table. And so we kind of battled our way through that. And we tried to treat it like, could we just buy the company and not go into bankruptcy? Because bankruptcy is just very expensive and very disruptive. And the truth is, this unsecured creditors don't get a lot of money on the dollar. I've sold to a lot of retailers that filed bankruptcy, and I've been on the other end for years, getting only 20 cents or 30 cents on the dollar.
Right.
And we just felt that it would be better for the trade if we could just buy it and get everybody 100 cents on the dollar and go forward. But we couldn't control that. It was being run by Raymond James, and it was on its own. There was the train had left the station for that, to try and deviate from that. So we had to be patient and wait till they filed bankruptcy. It didn't happen until January 6th.
Right.
And then that started the clock. There was a stalking horse bidder, everybody knows, it was Universal Distributors, a fine company. I didn't know Angelo from Adam there.
Yeah.
Talked to him one day. He was very nice, very talkative, very friendly, open book. And I only talked to him once, and I heard all his opinions about everything. And I didn't tell him if we're going to do it or not do it. I didn't say anything, and I never talked to him again. And then we had to, everybody had access to the data room, that who was a qualified bidder and met the requirements. Everybody had to sign very strict NDAs and do all, which is normal in this type of situation there. You have to bring in advisors and people to assist you and help you, because it's a very complicated process there. And so, we wanted to be the stalking horse, but we just couldn't get comfortable with the numbers that we did. Hindsight wise, we should have just bellied up the bar and became the stalking horse, but it didn't. I mean, okay, it probably cost an extra $1.3 million because we didn't do that. Because you get overbid protection,
Right.
And which it looks like that's what's going to happen if the court certifies the auction, the procedure they handled yesterday. That's how it'll turn out for Universal, assuming we close the transaction.
So what did you see aside from, big warehouse in Olive Branch, 1,200 so store accounts, 1,200 so direct accounts for online and et cetera? Was there anything else that just was like?
Well, it's a natural evolution of what we are.
Right.
We were a Funko distributor for years. We buy from Hasbro, Lego, Mattel. We bring figurines in, but it's a very small part of our business. 50 million at most out of our 1.1 billion, and so this would get us a big leapfrog into an area there, and you want to either go big or go home, right?
Right.
It's the same amount of work buying a $50 million company as a $300 million company. So you might as well put your effort in a $300 million company, because the cost associated and everything there, it's just better to do that. And it also, whenever we buy first thing, it opens new relationships with new suppliers. We think that's very, very important. Part of it, with diversify or die. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
We want to take profits in the good times and invest in other areas, because we want to be around for a long time. We don't want to be a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
People who don't pivot and diversify have gone out of business. I've seen that happen to a lot of distributors over the years. Ingram Entertainment, same thing.
Yeah.
They didn't diversify enough there, and they had to shut it down. So we didn't want to be that company. So we just try and diversify. And this is a way for us to diversify, get in. Once again, if I talk to investors, all like, oh my God, who buys a CD? When are you guys going out of business? How come your sales don't grow? How come your gross margin's so small?
Right.
All those kind of things. And so now we can make a statement. Look, this is collectibles. You can't download this. You can't stream it. People love collecting stuff.
Well, I want to tell you a quick story. There's something about this new generation. My daughter is 19. My son is 21. They have such a crazy attraction to what we think is garbage from our past. There was a run on little 5.0 megapixel digital cameras for about 2 months, about a year ago. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, you're insane. Why do you want this? Oh, because, our cameras take these really nice pictures, and we'd like to see some old style pictures.
Right. Well, Polaroid cameras too. Look at that.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
That's been for
Exactly.
4 years. That's been a market.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
How do you look at the interlocking of Alliance and Diamond? Is the interlock two separate companies, or is that going to eventually blend into each other? Are you then
Realistically,
houses?
to be most efficient and work on its strengths, all the inventory really needs to be in the same building. Amazon doesn't operate that way. They got one big building, 1 million square feet, and they got a big, huge selection of it. They break it down small, medium, and large warehouse facilities there. They don't have and that's how they break the product. And by having all those products, you can get more products in the box. You get more efficiencies. Your freight cost as percentage goes down. So you want to have, and that makes us really a supplier that these large chain retailers want to do business with, because we have such a wide selection of different products there. And we could be their entertainment specialist there. They don't have to have any expertise.
Yeah, one of the things that a lot of people are worried about from our viewer base are small indie press publishing, houses for comics, indie press creators. These guys who were, weren't the DC or the Marvel creators that were putting out, 1 or 2 books, their self-owned stuff through Diamond, and can't get on with the bigger distributors or the distributors that are there now, Lunar and Penguin Random House. Do you have any thought process on how you guys are going to handle comic distribution? Are you guys going to distribute comics for those creators and those independent press publishers?
Well, I haven't spoken with the team yet because we're not really allowed to, but I want to hear what they say and what can we do to fix this business. And I don't have the answers yet, but I just know that how it's currently being run is not working.
Amen. That's a big deal. That's a big deal, Bruce. That's something that
but here's,
we're very positive
go
about over here, is that, you're coming in here, Alliance and AENT is coming in here, and they care enough to hear what's going on, to see if it's something that they can fix. And maybe comics and wasn't your number one reason to come in here, but your open mind to it and figuring out what can be done and if we can do it correctly. That's a big deal. That's a positive.
From everything I've read and what I've been hearing, what I physically saw, there's just not enough volume, for the amount of labor involved. We don't like to sell $5 CDs and $5 DVDs because we can't make any money on it. Right. We want to sell $20 packages. We want a higher ASP. That's the challenge, because the labor cost and the freight cost just sucks all the profit out of it there. It just can't work. You have to make we kind of have a rule. We call it the 95-cent rule. If we can't make 95 cents pushing around our warehouse, and that we have to make a minimum, because it's what it costs to move things through and have people handle it and deal with the return and all that. And it may be that if you're trying to, so it's $5 and now you got to sell it for $6 and make your 95-cent rule. Well, that's a pretty high gross profit there with it. But if it's a $15 item, we can live that 95 cents there. So that's the strategy because we kind of look at there.
Yes.
You have over, what I think your website says, 600,000 SKUs.
No, it's 325,000. We stock 325,000.
Okay. So out of those, what would be, and this is just, you don't have to have a specific number, what would be the number one moving SKU, and what would be the number 324.99 SKU? Like, what kind of volume?
Well, obviously we can only sell one a year. That could be that slow of an item. For those type of items, and if it's available, we do MOD. We manufacture on demand. We don't have to have it physically on the shelf. We can make it when we need it there and all of that. But MOD, you can't really make it on demand because you got to ship the order the same day, and you can't keep up with the burn they do out there. And then as far as what our fastest turning SKU, in a week we could easily ship, 100,000 units could be shipped in a week. We just sell
Right.
a lot of retailers that have to be a Taylor Swift type record there.
Right. Sure. So turn rates, sell throughs, that's high priority for you. Price points, high priority for you. Companies like Ollie's, who's opening up 40 new stores over the next 6 to 8 months, is that an opportunity for you guys as well to get some product there?
Which retailer is that? Which retailer?
Ollie's.
I'm not familiar with Ollie's. I haven't heard of that.
It's kind of big lots. It's kind of big lots on a bigger scale.
Yeah, they do a lot of comic books, stuff, toys. I'll send you a link. So are you looking?
My sales guy know about it. I had not heard of it.
Yeah, exactly. So are you looking to expand with Diamond into those stores as well? Would that be a process that you would look at?
We would be open to anywhere. We're happy to sell our product anywhere in the world as long as the check clears. All right.
Okay.
There we go. Oh yeah.
Look, well, speaking of that, can we ask you a question?
Sure.
When you guys took a look at Diamond, you're like, oh, wow, we got revenue over here and we got warehouse here. And there's all the good stuff that, we look for in an acquisition. And then you saw that, and we talk about it, that $33 million, accounts receivable. How did that factor into your judgment?
Well, or the truth is that if anything is over 90 days, it's considered, if you're dealing with an ABL lender, and it's over 90 days, the likelihood of getting paid is slim to none.
Right.
So I wouldn't say you would get zero, but you're not going to, there's a lower value put on that. So when you look at receivables and you look at inventory, you look at how fast is the inventory turning. If you have more than a 12-month supply, then anything more than 12 months is looked upon. You got to put some adequate reserves on it to deal with that slow-moving inventory there, because the odds are you're not going to get 100 cents on a dollar. You're only going to get 50 cents, 40 cents,
right.
60 cents. So we just have to, as far as how we value or priced it there, if we're buying an asset, what is the value of that asset using the proper reserves?
Right.
And
so
now it was an asset purchase. It wasn't a company purchase. So when you purchase a company, do they have adequate reserves on the balance sheet? But they were only selling the assets, so you had to, okay, this is what their cost was, but what do we think the market value of that turning into cash? And that's how you value it there.
Right. So I guess I guess the question we have is, you look at that receivables that is 100 days late, yet they're going to be applying to you to purchase product. Does that come into play, or is it a clean slate?
No, we want to collect on those receivables.
Right, right. And so would you argue that
it's not forgiveness all of a sudden?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would be negotiating from day one, saying, okay, how we then pay off this debt.
You're talking about the retailers that owe money to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's also if you can throw in there, like, how are these? What about these retailers reaching out to create new accounts to carry your products? Because we talk about all the time on this channel the pivot, which you talked about, and a lot of comic shops, comic retailers are pivoting into the hippie head shop model that Dennis talks about all the time. The pop collectibles, music, toys, graded collectibles, which is we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I mean, are these retailers going to be able to go through all this for you? Are you going to be talking? Is this a big push?
Well, we're not a bank. We're a distributor, so you have to be properly capitalized to run your business there. Hopefully, now do we help retailers? Like for Record Store Day, that's a big huge event. Everybody can't be writing checks for Record Store Day. So based upon previous history and experience we've had, if we want to help them because we want them to sell more product.
Right.
And the more they can sell, makes them stronger. And I heard you guys talking about Record Store Day. That's just turned into quite an event. It started out because of the coalitions. They came up with the plan to do it there, and we're an authorized Record Store Day distributor. And if you want to become a Record Store Day store, you got to take the pledge. And the pledge is you'll follow those rules, and you won't break the rules, and you won't sell it online, and and no chain retailers are allowed. So no Amazon, no Barnes and Noble, no Walmart, and all for the right reason, because we wanted to get consumers into independent music stores. And they're probably doing the best they've ever done in over the years, the last 5-6 years. Some of the numbers I hear that they're doing over that weekend is just crazy numbers there.
Yeah.
And,
my daughter and I, 7 years ago, when we were thinking about records, we went into a record store, and they had the incense, they had the pipes, they had everything, but it was a Tuesday, and they had 20 people shopping for records in the 30 minutes we were there. There's no comic book stores that have 20 people floating around. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something going on here. And that's when I had to start looking in. And it all went back to Record Store Day, building this subculture.
Yeah, well, back then Tuesday used to be the street day for music, and then they moved it to Friday just to coincide with the chart date there. And there was a big debate why Friday. You should leave it Tuesday. If you sell out on Tuesday, at least you have time to get it in for the weekend. Now you run out on Friday, you can't get enough replenishment. That ship sailed. We tried to get it back, but it never went back.
Yeah. To go back to my technology question, do you foresee universal ordering, whether it be someone placing a Diamond order and an Alliance order at the same time, or do you foresee that being separate?
You said universal?
Universal ordering. So ordering.
It depends where the inventory is located at. So, but ideally, we'd like to all be on the same system.
Okay.
We don't want to have multiple computer systems.
Okay.
Right.
It's too hard. It's too hard to run the business as a public company. It's a nightmare.
So you're looking at one Alliance page to do all your ordering.
Yeah, our system can handle that.
That'd be awesome. Okay. That's great.
It's
so the idea is, obviously right now there's retailers that have a previews catalog that they have to submit this month for stuff that might not even be available to Diamond through that previews catalog. What would you say to all these retailers out there, kind of crapping themselves right now, going, well, should I do this? Am I going to have to go over to Alliance? Is Alliance even going to carry comic books?
No, I think they should continue doing what they're doing. Haven't changed anything today. It's not even officially, hasn't even closed.
Right. No, so just keep going with what you're currently doing, and when the keys get handed over to Alliance, when and if, I'll say if, then Alliance will come in and explain what the new procedures will be.
Well, let me just say that we need to understand the procedures before we decide what the rules of the land are.
Right.
It's not like it's our way or the highway.
Right.
It's like, what is the best practice and what works?
Right. Do you have any thoughts on how to go about that? Do you plan on, talking to many retailers, asking, putting out surveys and such to all the retailers that are working with Diamond?
It's funny you should mention that. One of my guys, he went into the local comic book store in Louisville. And he went in there, and there was a Diamond box there, and there was another box, and he was just kind of probing, asking questions, and he was pretty frustrated with Diamond. He didn't hold back. He didn't hold back, and I was getting updated today by that person today who was telling me everything they were saying. So,
well, let me tell.
Pause. So I'm sure we should be trying to understand and learn all that. That wasn't disclosed in any way.
Right.
What, they didn't warn you about me in the disclosure?
I was about to say, you better be ready, Bruce. You got Dennis that's already got your email address. You guys are going to be hearing all kinds of good stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the history. I don't have the tribal knowledge, so I have a lot of. I'm sure I'll be drinking water out of a fire hose here pretty fast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's the comic book world. This is my 43rd year. Dennis is going on 30 plus years. It's all about selling comics, and I know that sounds very generic to say that. And if we get the product in and it's in good shape and it's not damaged and it's on time, that's your winning success there.
Yeah, no, vinyl, we have to treat it like kid gloves because everybody thinks it's a museum piece.
Yes.
Yep.
So if it arrives blemished or damaged in any way, or the seam is split, the customer's not happy and the dealer's not happy.
Let's talk about that on the toy front. Action figures, Funko Pops, even video games now, all being graded. And one of the companies that Diamond is associated with is the grading company. Do you guys have any plans with that? Is there anything you could talk about with us along those lines?
Well, it was kind of something was all or nothing. You kind of get everything all together. I am familiar with what CGA does. I understand what they're doing out there. It's pretty small in the overall scope of the operation there. We didn't visit or check it out or anything, so we have a lot of learning curve and catching up there on that. I think I heard from somebody was telling me, I read in one of the magazines or something that CGA just kind of screwed things up from a grading perspective. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I read.
There was a lot of controversies, and I think it was all pre-Diamond purchase, but I could tell you, and just, from my own personal experience, I just submitted a bunch of stuff to Heritage Auctions to sell. They submitted everything through AFA, which is under that umbrella, and they came back certain grades. And AFA, for some reason, and they just had a huge giant sale where they sold somebody's entire Star Wars collection that was all AFA graded. AFA is the gold standard for collectible toys.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was slightly mismanaged, but I can't complain about the prices I got, so I'm not going to. I heard a lot of different people, plus or minus. There's a lot of startups that popped up around that time. Actually, one of them's down near your corporate offices, CAS. But AFA has maintained this high standard, and I think you have a secret crown jewel in that. And when I was talking about crown jewels, that's what I'm talking about. Is there's these little things that mean a lot to that little community that I think if you guys can extrapolate that, you can turn it into something better.
I see.
Yep.
Well, another one of those things being Free Comic Book Day. Now, we talked about Record Store Day. Free Comic Book Day is another one of those things that we here on the Industry of Comics show feel like it had been mismanaged. It's a very important thing to bring new collectors into the hobby, new customers into the hobby. And with very little change can just be a monster. Is that something that you guys plan on looking at as well?
I have not seen the financials on it there. I guess all the publishers, they provide the free comic books. Is that what they do? And Diamond is paying, or they're charging for the shipping, I guess, or they're paying for the shipping. I don't know if they are or they aren't.
Yep.
I know that when we were there, it was actually they were in process of doing Free Comic Book Day, and they had debated whether or not they could do it while they're in bankruptcy or not, but they decided to go ahead and do it anyhow. That's about all I know about it.
Right.
Well, that'd be very interesting to see your guys' thoughts on that, especially with the similar thing in the vinyl world. So
So every asset
there isn't a free record day.
No, there isn't. But it's
day.
but Free Comic Book Day is meant to bring in customers into those stores, right? And
it's free.
Yeah. And
what
I
is
understand by giving to people that it's first time comic, never done it there, and it's a way to get them exposed to it there. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll let me just tack on to that real quick. I and Jesse used to spend, and I still spend about $1,500 a year on the event of Free Comic Book Day. $1,000 for the event, and then 500 for the comics, and then 500 for the event. It can actually generate sales in store of 2x, and then it can extrapolate over a year 4x, 5x if you do it right.
Because they're hooked, yeah. You give away you give away the razor, so they'll come back and buy the blades. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what it sounds like is the way that it looks like you guys are then approach is nothing is really then be a turnkey item. It's a grab it, look at it, figure out how to make it better, listen to some people give you some thoughts, and then you're then push out from there. Is that correct?
Yeah, and also you have to understand that it was not a very profitable business. That's why it went into bankruptcy there.
Right.
If we don't pivot and turn and make it profitable, I'm gonna have a very grumpy bank that we
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Grumpy shareholders and grumpy employees. So yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny is the first thing I read about you guys, you're capital light, and so capital light means you're really looking at the numbers every day. How do you look at something like a diamond and still be capital light?
When you say capital light, what do you mean by that?
You have low levels of debt. How you then get that debt paid off real fast?
Well, you only can pay off debt by generating profits.
Right.
Free cash flow is all you can do, and we think over 4 or 5 years we should be able to get it all paid back by then, and it's not going to happen overnight, but we think that's to be the time frame there.
Wow. Okay.
And then we have debt. If you look at our financials, we had at 12/31 we were borrowing about $70 million.
So Jesse and I have a little side bet going here, and I think you told me that you were going to be able to hint at what the number was, correct?
No.
So you had 70
I'll say if you're
million.
getting warm or getting cold. How's that sound? All right.
Yeah. You had 70 million in debt, and you had 120 debt ceiling, and then you added another 40. Where between that and that, I said you paid about 50 million for Diamond. Jesse, you were at what, 40?
40. Yeah, 40, 41.
Okay. Just say who's closer.
Dennis is closer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Are we surprised? No, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not, especially with that Dennis look.
Well, and my thinking was that Universal just wanted Alliance, and they valued Alliance at 39, and they were the stalking horse bid. They put it right out there. Well, we're taking 39. Let's go. You were going to have to.
They were very aggressive. You give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, no, and that's the way they wanted to do it. But then, and the rumor was that Todd was going to show up. Todd McFarlane, one of the biggest names in comic books, was going to show up and kind of try to add Diamond to his, corporate interests at McFarlane Toys. And I think there were and you can feel free to say no comment, but my thought is everybody wanted a piece. Nobody wanted the enchilada.
No, there was 2 companies that wanted the whole company.
Okay.
There was 2 bidders, and then as you said, Universal only wanted Alliance. That's correct. And there was somebody else that wanted just Diamond.
Right.
So they partnered up.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Exactly.
But they were nowhere near your bid, so they were basically said match it or.
Everybody was close in the beginning.
Okay.
It separated. One had to drop out, and then we were and it was down to 2, and then we became the leader in the end.
Do you foresee? So you have about 3,000 people that sell your product as far as retailers go now, correct? Is that about right?
Yeah, independent retailers, definitely.
Do you see? Where do you see the crossover? Do you see the 2,000 comic book stores now selling music, or do you see the 3,000 music sellers selling comics?
Well, I would say that everybody likes to stay in their lane, what they feel comfortable with.
Oh, okay.
But we will certainly offer things like that to them, encourage them, and they're free to order what they want. You know, our people have a lot of different products to offer to those stores that they talk to there. I think if you're a record store, you're always going to be a record store. You're not going to, I don't know if they're going to gravitate to comics, but they could gravitate to other things there. We'll certainly offer it and promote it there.
Right.
I think you've hit. I mean, I think this is going to be amazing, because one of the things that this YouTube channel is built on is nostalgia, and we talk about nostalgia being the most dangerous drug in the world, right? Because you get that dopamine hit from that nostalgia. You see a toy from when you were a kid. You hear a song that your mom used to play when she would clean. It's that nostalgia. I mean, and it can cause you to drop big money on those amazing things from when you were a kid. And there are people spending big money these days on video games, vintage video games, of course, vintage vinyl, vintage action figures, all the way into to everything you can think of. Physical media is now being collected for nostalgia purposes. And it really, a lot of these things don't even have to work for their original intended issue, which is very interesting, because in the vinyl world, they want to be able to listen to these albums, where in a lot of the collectible world that we're seeing nowadays with, people that are 30 to 50 years old, where they're into these, VHS collecting, toy collecting, and they'll keep them in the boxes and not even play with the toys. And you can go as far as grading them. They'll keep the VHS in the boxes and never even care about playing it on a VHS player, because they see that, they like it in the nice condition, that it's a nostalgia hit for them. How important is nostalgia to AENT?
Yeah, I mean, we're leaning in to be, stronger in the collectible space there. And what can we do? We're usually been kind of known as a one and done, get it in, ship it all out and be done. But there is value in, hanging on to something and then offering it later on, which we've never done that before, but we are trying to do that to see we're just trying to see if that could lead to higher value down the road.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that is a lot of people in this industries, the collectibles industry. That's how they do things. Dennis is a big proponent of that. I mean, he's got a movie theater warehouse full of collectibles that he doesn't. His big saying is, right, I don't have to sell these things. I'll sell them when I want to sell them, and because they're collectibles, and we talk about it all the time in the world of comics. Everything gets hot. It's cyclical. It'll get hot and cold, and it'll come back around sometime, and it'll be hot again.
And Bryan, don't talk about my little movie theater when Bruce is sitting in front of that giant frickin' warehouse. I can't even come to that orgy. Okay.
Do you, speaking of nostalgia, has your team talked about Overstreet at all, the price guide of the comic book world? Is that something that we'll see?
No, we have not. We didn't really have the ability to talk to Diamond folks about anything.
Wow, really? Okay.
We had maybe one meeting, and it was like pulling teeth to get that meeting. And they were being very careful. They didn't want to say anything, get yelled at. And we would ask what we could ask, and we would get, you can't ask that, or you can't answer that, or whatever there. So I'm looking forward to when we can finally all be, on the same side talking and say, okay, now what do we do? How do we go from here?
Yeah. Well, I got two things. Let's talk about the staff. I think one of your press releases said that you're very interested in keeping the Diamond staff on. Let me just first put a plug to my dear friend, Nance Romer, who knows everything about Diamond inside and out. You'd be a fool to not bring her down and make sure she has sunscreen because she's a ginger. But what do you see the value in Diamond staff?
Well, in any company we've ever acquired, the most important people are the people who have the relationship with the vendors. That's important people. The people have the relationship with the customers. And if we lose them, we we're really, we just fall behind. Now, obviously, over time, you kind of learn who the good ones are, the bad ones are. You just kind of see it figured out, and the numbers don't lie. Or if complaints come in or issues, we hope the sales manager and the leaders will deal with that in the proper way, or make sure we are making the right decisions there. I can't say we're going to go with a chainsaw, from day one. That's not our DNA at all there. I wouldn't even know how to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
that's
that's
good.
awesome.
But that's great to hear, because
That is great to hear.
Diamond has spent, what are they, 40 years now? 41, 42 years?
43 years.
43.
I've got the coin around here somewhere. They have kind of cultivated from a lot of retail communities some of the best people to move up through Diamond. And unfortunately, they did pick enough people that helped put them in this situation, though. It's going to be a very hard task for you guys to figure out the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to make some mistakes. Things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, we just have to get our hands dirty and get involved and ask and learn.
Well, there's something interesting about all this. Shout out to Kostra, who says that institutional knowledge can be invaluable. And speaking of institutional knowledge, the Jeppies are unbelievable knowledge in this industry, respected beyond belief. Is there?
Can I just interrupt you there, Bryan?
Of course.
When
I'm
Bruce
used to it.
yeah, I know. When Bruce was explaining how he started, I literally started to weep a little bit, because that's exactly how Steve Jeppy started.
Amen. Yeah.
Yep.
And I literally was like, oh my God, these guys really are the perfect people to take over Steve's empire.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are your? Do you know much about the Jeppies? Do you plan on?
That's what I've read online.
Yeah. That'll be very interesting. I would love at some point. We always would love to talk to Josh or even Steve if we ever get the chance on this channel. But Bruce, I would love at some point also to have you come back and hear about your kind of navigating through all of this world, because it's amazing to hear some of the things, like you not being able to talk to a lot of people, and kind of going in a little blind on this with the community of the comics community. I mean, you know your business, and you're very successful in what you do, and there was a reason that you guys went out and did this. But it's amazing to me to see the kind of, I'm not going to call it disconnect, but the comics thing wasn't a big part of this at all, it seems. Yeah.
It's not the largest part of it. I mean, it's not 100% of the business there.
Yeah.
Bruce, one more thing before, I don't know when you have to take off here. Alliance, what you guys were talking about with the Alliance Games purchase part of this.
Yes.
And I see a company that is so perfectly ingrained with everything I love about shopping at Walmart. Literally, that whole back corner is my second spot when I get there. But my first spot is that aisle up front that one of Alliance Games' biggest competitors is GTS, who also has MJ Holding and supplies that entire front little thing. And there's been a lot of controversies over the last couple weeks, really, about their distribution model. By purchasing Alliance, do you see that also being Alliance Games? Do you see that as being something that you can integrate into your vinyl and your physical media and video game contribution to Walmart, and kind of expand on that and fix a problem that I think the community has really been, talking about lately?
So you're saying that you don't think Walmart does a good job in the collectible space?
Not in the card world.
No.
The trading card world, trading card TCG and sports card industry, which of course MJ Holdings and these other distribution card companies have been kind of third party filling for a long time. It's been a nightmare, and especially it's been a nightmare for most companies dealing with the pandemic, but over the last 5 years, it's been a real big deal because the amount of buyers and collectors in both, the comics world and the card world has just been crazy. And even right now, one of the biggest stories in the world of card collecting and collectibles is, the Pokemon distribution and production of Pokemon cards, and it being so crazy, and market scalping, all this craziness. Where I think if they could figure out how to get that all to run smooth at the Walmart and the Target levels, like it was, say, early 2000s, that era. I mean, it would change everything for a lot of these collectors in the card world, because a lot of people just stopped collecting because it became such a pain in the neck to get product.
So are you saying that there was just limited product, or the stock
Well,
were very low? Or
I'll give you a little ounce of the problem. So GTS owns MJ Holdings, who stocks those shelves at the front of Walmart. They just recently got caught selling through a third party on Walmart.com from their warehouse in Chicago at retail, rather than supplying the retailer at wholesale.
Got it.
So, and on top of that, GTS also supplies retailers like me, who have slowly decreased our allocations as they've been selling as much out the back door as they are out the side door to us, and out the front door to Walmart.
Right.
And so this has really put a giant impact and a giant spotlight on them. And then when I heard this morning, and I saw that you're getting Alliance Games, I'm like, wow, this might be a fix to a lot of that as well.
Has Alliance Game, they've never sold to Walmart? They never tried?
No, Alliance Games only sells to
Independents.
retail level.
Independents,
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that on the.
And here's the thing, and hey, I'm Dennis, so you'll get to know me. I stopped buying from Alliance because of the problems that I had with Diamond as a penalty to Diamond, because I'm like, look, Alliance gives me free shipping. Why can't you give me paid shipping that arrives undamaged? If you don't fix this over here, I can't give you my money over here. So I switched distributors.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you said paid shipping versus free shipping. So
Alliance has free shipping at a certain purchase point.
Price point.
Yeah. So if you buy, I think it's 200. If you buy 200 worth of product, it's free shipped. If you buy $10 worth of product from Diamond, it's $25 ship.
$3, it's $25.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. My final question to I'm from corporate America, Nordstrom. That's where I come from. I'm going to tell you the most exciting thing I got, and I would like to get you to talk about it. Tell me about the AENT team. Are they excited?
Very excited.
One more point. They seem extremely motivated even before this transaction happened.
When you say they're extremely motivated, how did you know that? Or what makes you think that?
Just because when you start doing research and you see the happiness in
the pictures,
your group pictures, and who does group pictures nowadays, right? And because when you start investing in a company, you start seeing reviews and employees talking, and they all seem part of the Alliance team. They're not employees, they're team members. How do you do that, and how excited are they for this next stage?
Yeah, well, they're very excited. We're going to have our leaders meeting. Yeah, that's our warehouse in Kentucky there, and we are employee owned, so that helps.
Yes, that's amazing. This is great.
So I was going to say that. So we'll talk to all our leaders about it on Thursday. A big leaders call with the Alliance team there. We're not ready. We don't have the ability to talk to anybody at Diamond yet in a group meeting like that. Hopefully, after the court approves it, we should be able to do that. And then, so Oh, I'm always been a big believer employee owned. So that team in Kentucky, I've made a lot of trips to Kentucky over the years, and um, before COVID, we just first got involved with Alliance. I would go back there and work for Black Friday week at peak and work in the warehouse, pick orders, ship orders, just learn the process and learn the systems there. And, you just kind of learn about the operation and see what we're doing wrong and what we could do better there and all that. So I'm not saying I'm going to do that this round here, but that's probably where I built up, everybody's trust, what you're seeing there.
Right. Yeah, it looks you have a great culture. Looks like you got this great tradition going on. It looks like the way that you work your technology to bring it up to date as much as possible, which means happy team members, because they can do everything more efficient. So very, very good job on that front.
Yeah. Now I have to credit the person that runs that warehouse, Warwick, and Terry. She's our HR department there. And she's very strong, and she fights for the employees, and she also fights for the company. It's not all one way. It's right down the middle there. She calls balls and strikes as she sees them, which I like.
Right.
So,
I'll give you one piece of info that you're probably not going to hear from Diamond, and you're probably not going to see in your disclosure agreement. Olive Branch, Mississippi is in the same city as the state prison. They have had a giant problem with personnel. And it's also, I think it's Williams-Sonoma is also next to them. And there's a whole bunch of other giant warehouses over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of warehouses in that park. Yeah. I remember seeing the Williams-Sonoma. I saw that.
All of the bigger people that aren't comic books get all of the best staff from the temp agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And Diamond, because they don't. And I gave them a perfect, I'm like, why don't you hire more full-time staff so you don't have to hire these temps? They actually were getting the bottom of the barrel of the temp services in that town. And actually one day they accidentally hired two rival gangs and had a fight break out in the parking lot.
Got it.
So there's all sorts of stories that come out of that Olive Branch. And sadly, most of them are true. But I think when I see a staff like you have and what you've built, as you guys look at Diamond, you're going to be able to fix a lot of cheap mistakes that cost a lot of damage.
Yeah, we don't like to have turnover. That's hard. It was definitely tough during COVID because we're getting hard people to come to work.
Sure.
It's not that we're against temp labor, but we like to move people from temp to perm as much as possible.
Yeah, and that's what I was always suggesting. I'm like, hey, take a batch of 100 and figure out the best 10 and put them on on temporary, and then get another 90, and then find 10 of those and move these 10 up to, or 5 of these 10 up to full time. Yeah. There's a system that can easily make you a dedicated staff, like I see on your webpage.
Yeah. So you always have a higher turnover rate with temp labor than you do with permanent employees. And our goals are, we don't want to have the turnover, so we need to gravitate to permanent. And
what type of retention do you have? Do you have a high retention rate?
I don't know the exact number, but I know the temp is higher than turnover is higher percentage in temp versus perm.
Okay.
I would say our warehouse as overall as the company is always going to be our highest turnover in general, because it's people just kind of come and go. It's a warehouse job. It's not a permanent job.
Right.
But outside of that, we have very little turnover with the rest of the company. But that's because they like the industry they're in.
Yes.
They have the knowledge. That's what they know. They feel comfortable. People like to stay in their lane.
Yeah. The one thing, Bruce, that I would like to throw into your ear that might be very important for you guys on day one is if you're getting the Diamond booth at San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah,
that was something I didn't realize it until I saw in somebody's other their asset purchase agreement that they wanted to grab that and not lose that. So yeah, we have it.
Well, let me.
That's
I'm going to
important.
give you. I'm going to give you a really
Very
big
important.
hint.
Yes.
One of the biggest, most profitable booths is the Fox booth over on the other side of the hall towards Hall H. They sell limited collectible vinyls, and they sell out every day at San Diego. I would love to see the Alliance exclusive vinyl business going to San Diego, brother. And I would love to point you in that direction.
When you say they sell out, they have just special versions for.
They make
For the
special
con.
versions of the vinyl for San Diego, limited to like 500, 1,000, and they only sell like 100, 250 per day of each of that release.
I see.
And it's about 20 different vinyls, 10 different vinyls, but they're not selling 45s. They're selling 33 1/3, special jackets.
Yeah.
And it's like
They
40,
sell like
50 bucks
hotcakes.
the vinyl.
Yeah.
I think one of them was 75 last year, wasn't it, Brian?
Yes. Yep.
So they're selling $75 vinyls direct to the consumer at San Diego in the unit numbers of 1,000 units. That's $1 million out of that, and that's only out of a 10 by 20 section of Fox's entire booth.
And you said that's a company called Fox or Box?
Fox, Fox Entertainment, 20th Century Fox.
Yeah. Got it.
And it's all kind of their in-house stuff. They'll do movie soundtrack releases for Aliens, and it'll have a different package on it.
You're talking Fox Pictures.
Fox Pictures, 20th
Fox
Century Fox. Yeah.
Got it. 20th Century Fox.
Which is actually now part of Disney, but they still maintain that separate entity.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm speaking for all three of us, even though I haven't asked them, but all three of us are volunteering for your table if you need it. So just so you know.
Keep that. It's gold.
Don't
give it up.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. So this is actually my final question. I have so many pages here. So you're awesome at DTC. You're direct to customers, that you built an empire on it. Does your company look at live streaming at all as far as selling product direct to customer?
We dabbled in it a little bit. We kind of got introduced to, do you know Evans, Collect Evans?
Right. Yeah. From North Carolina.
Right. He does a lot of live streaming.
Yeah.
And my partner, Jeff Walker, has spent a lot of time with Evans. Evans bought something, bought a company in the Seattle area. And one Sunday he flew in from somewhere, and then he asked me to go see what his live stream operation, his warehouse he had it.
Right.
So he had like 5 different studios live streaming on the different networks. And I saw how it works and what they were doing, and he kind of explained the business to me. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
We don't have anything on the drawing board doing anything like that, but it's sure kind of. But if you talk to Jeff Walker, he'd like us to do that. But currently, we're not doing anything like that.
That's very important information right there, Bruce, because the live selling platform growth for collectibles has been just crazy, and a lot of retailers who pivoted and jumped on those live selling platforms to sell product, and if they're doing it in a smart way, are doing very well right now. So it's a big part of this industry.
Yeah. I was the first live streamer for comic books in 2016, February 16th, 2016. And I will tell you, it grows every day. And it's something that it's about dedication. In your case, you have the shipping ability. So it's something that you might want to look at. But I'm very excited. I've been excited all day. I haven't been excited about all the emails and phone calls and all that saying the same exact thing. But we hope that every time you have something to say, let us know. We want to be one of your vessels to get the word out for Alliance.
We appreciate that. No, you guys are good ambassadors for the industry. So I recognized that last week. That's why I wasn't afraid to come on your show.
There you go.
Well, we do our best here to, especially this show and this platform, to it be a place for people in the industry to talk about bettering the industry, help each other out. There's a saying that Dennis talks about all the time, and I'll let him go ahead and say what the saying is, the Dennis, about
give your knowledge and experience freely. And I could just tell. So we live in a space with YouTube where it's all about experiencers. Oh, million followers, experiencer or influencer.
Yeah.
I can tell just by listening to your origin story, you're an experiencer, and that has put you where you are right now. That's where Jesse and I live. That's where we're putting Bryan. We're dragging him with us. And I just think that when you get to that level, man, any level that you're at between me and you owe it to everybody around you to just share that knowledge.
Sure. I totally agree.
Yep.
But I'm really surrounded by a strong team. I wouldn't be where we're at today if it wasn't for all the people that work with me, and we're very appreciative of all that. And
are you?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, are you out of Plantation or are you somewhere else?
No, I live in Bellevue, Washington.
Oh, okay. I used to live in Bellevue. I used to run that Nordstrom in Bellevue. So.
Oh, the mall there, right? Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you just purchased Alliance, which has the exclusive rights to HeroClix, which originated from Bellevue, Washington.
Yeah.
There's another little connection there.
Yeah, man. Those games, those HeroClix, woo.
Yeah.
Big deal.
But before COVID, we were living in California, and then our kids moved away from us when they graduated from college, and they got jobs in the Northwest. So we got tired of begging them. Well, I learned that I could just work at home all the time.
Yeah.
So I learned that during COVID, and then when our kids moved away, we were always begging them to come see us for Mother's Day or Father's Day or birthdays or whatever. They have lives, they're busy. We have to respect that. I asked my wife, why don't we just throw in the towel and move to the Northwest? And we lived in California. I lived in California all my life, so this is our 4th year living in the Northwest.
Yeah,
we love the area. Is beautiful.
So you're saying to a father of 2 19 and 21-year-old, they do eventually move out?
They should.
Yeah.
They should.
Okay, just making sure that well, I've gotten 2 silver linings today. Diamond going to Alliance, and my children might someday move out.
There is a light at the tunnel.
There we go. I'm done.
No,
They got to go to college. They got to take a degree. They're employable.
Yes. Now both of them have very good degrees that have nothing to do with owning a comic book store.
No, I will tell you, this has been awesome, because when you see it hit this morning, and to have you on now to kind of put a lot of the pieces together, makes it a lot more easier for us that are in the industry to look forward to say, hey, you know what? We still have a lot of good things coming. When I see a lot of pivoting, and it just makes it easier to wake up and go to the next day and sell some more stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and and I'm sure you saw it. If you guys are searching it out, there was a lot of, oh my God, this is going to destroy this or this or this. And, even in our chat, some people don't understand how they're going to have to pivot to work into a new system that you guys have been running like a Swiss clock. And clearly it didn't work because you just bought the guys who were doing it. There's going to take a lot of pivot for our industry to merge in with your industry. But I think the bigger silver lining is by you seeing us and allowing us into your world, you're going to see an uptick of all of your products through people like Jesse and I who learn to pivot and make us stronger because of you guys.
Yes. It's a win-win. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Very good.
Well,
Well,
Bruce,
guys, thank you. It's been fun. You did a good job. Keep it up.
thank
you.
you so much. We appreciate you, and stay in touch, and we'll bug you even more in the future to join us again when you got some more cool stuff to talk about, and we can't wait to hear more and continue.
We'll see you in San Diego.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll see me, but you'll see our company there.
Well, we'll see someone.
You've got
You'll be there.
you're the new king of comics. You have to show up to San Diego,
Yeah.
Bruce. We're gonna make you.
I got a good strong people.
Yeah.
All right.
There we
All right.
go.
Thank you very much. We
Thank you
appreciate
guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Bruce.
you, Bruce.
Appreciate you. Nice to
Yeah.
meet you,
You're
and we appreciate it. Bye bye.
Thank you.